Hello, hello. I hadn't fully appreciated how much of a delay there is. I mean, I knew there was because we're going through Restream. But between me typing that message and seeing the message, it was like a good 20, 30 seconds. So if I ever seem like I'm slow to respond to something, that's why. Hi. Oh, Dylan. Well, it goes to Bodefeld. Goes to Bodefeld's always the first. Nice to see you. Thank you for joining me. We are again doing the thing that we do every week-ish. Mostly. And yeah, we'll just let the things warm up a bit. Let me warm up a bit. It's been a time. I've been super busy, in a good way. The commissions just keep coming. They don't seem to be stopping, which is good. It just means that like the shop is starting to get empty. I would like to get back to shop build at some point, but I just keep getting these commissions that are interesting and fun and able to be done in a reasonable amount of time. I've got one coming up next week that is actually kind of time dependent. So that'll be fun. I'm going to continue to be busy, and next week is a short week for me because it's a holiday here in Canada. July 1st is Canada Day. The day we stole all that land officially. And so it's a long weekend. It's a 4-day weekend. I mean, the stat holiday is Tuesday, but of course everybody's also taking the Monday off. So I'm going to be a good boss and give my one employee the Monday off as well. So I'm getting a 4-day weekend. Is what it comes down to. So today on the agenda, we're doing, it's a commission, just like I was saying. This is another commission. And it's two puppets. I'll show you where we're at with the first one here. So it's an alien and a small. But the alien's kind of interesting. Let's go to the wide cam here. So here's our alien. Now, as you can see, it's something a little bit. So it's green. So little green man, as it were. And we're pretty far along, but we've got this rainbow mohawk here. So this is a client request. A rainbow mohawk, which is not yet attached. So that's one of the things we're probably going to be doing today. And I've been thinking, so I've got these tips, tricks, and tutorials videos. I still got 2 in the queue. I haven't had time to actually edit yet, because of all of the work. So there's still 2 more coming. Don't worry. The ones that we shot during the stream are still in the hopper. This could actually be another one, because what I'm going to do is talk about attaching the hair, and some of that's going to be done on stream. Now, here's the thing. Everything I have left to do for this puppet and the beginning of the well, it's more than begun. It's the continuation of the small. Is stuff that's really boring to stream. Unfortunately, this is just the stage I'm at with these. So, that's the condition of doing live streams, is that I just have to work on what I'm working on as I'm working on it. If it happens to light up to be an interesting stream, obviously we'll go with that. But, so the next thing to do on this, the alien, so like I said, it's almost done. So we've got to attach the hair. And this one I'm going to stitch, but I can also talk about the gluing process. But of course, the stitching of this means we're ladder stitching fur, which is not fun, but is sometimes you do occasionally have to do. So I thought I could actually shoot a tutorial video, because I may actually have a decent camera angle for this for once. Let's actually have a look at that before I decide if I'm going to shoot this for a tutorial video. The other thing is the commission I have to do next week. It will also hit this stage. It will also have hair that's attached externally. Zap, hey, how you doing? Nice to see you. And I'm gonna ladder stitch that as well. So I could plan ahead a little bit for a change and actually shoot the tutorial next week. And maybe because of the long weekend, I'll have some time to edit the 2 tutorial videos that are in the hopper. You know what? I just decided that makes far more sense. Let's pace ourselves. Rather than trying to do everything at once, let's just pace it out. And so I'll do my best to get 1 or 2 of those tutorial videos edited this weekend, and then next week I'll aim to be at this point with the other commission build, and we will shoot the hair attached video then. I still have to do that, but I'm just not going to shoot it for the tutorial video today. But I will still show that on stream. And because what I'm thinking is, if we go to the top cam here, as you can see, because this is on the stand, this is actually kind of not bad for seeing what I'm doing, right? So if I were to start ladder stitching here, this isn't even a bad angle for me to work at, although it's a bad angle for you to see my face. Hello, hello! And then 5102. I'm sure is that a thing? Can I pronounce that? Is there a way to pronounce that? I'm not even gonna try. I'm not that creative. I just hide it well. But as you can see, because this camera has actually a decent autofocus for a change, this isn't bad to actually show what I'm doing. I can even, maybe we can actually pull the camera like right in here. Look at that. That's pretty good. And this is exactly how I would be doing it if I was ladder stitching, just along this line. So this is not a bad angle for shooting this at. So I think that's what we're gonna do, but we will, sorry for the shaky cam, as always. I think we'll do that next week, because the hair next week is actually even more interesting than this. It's going to be an altered wig. So who knows, maybe I'll do the whole thing. Like I'll shoot the whole tutorial video about how to take a wig and alter it to be puppet sized, which I think would be handy for some people to learn. So yeah, that's where we're at. So there's a couple of things left to do with this. Obviously, attaching the hair is one. The hair has been approved by the client. The rainbow mohawk was a request, and then I said, well, we don't have to commit. I can actually show it to you just pinned on, and you can say if you like it or not, and they like it. So we're gonna go with that. And the other thing, there's the top cam with, there we go, is of course we've got the eyes here, and we got to put some eyelids on our nice glossy black eyes here. These might be a little large. I can't remember the size I printed the previous. This is a Nerny based alien. And I want to say the eyes weren't quite this big. I could be wrong about that, because the size perception kind of changes when they get eyelids on them. But let me just see here. It's also important to take the base off, because that adds height. That's a good like ½ inch almost of height. So actually maybe that's not so bad. Actually, no, you know what? This is about right. This seems right for an alien. But we are going to add some eyelids. Now the interesting challenge there, for this particular character is, although this is an alien, it's supposed to be like a friendly alien. It's not the kind of creepy, you know, kidnapping gray from the cover of Communion or something, right? It is a friendly. It's going to be for, I believe it's going to be for a children's show. So we want to try and aim a bit more friendly and open with these eyes. And the standard kind of insectoid look for an alien eye that you want to go for isn't going to be great for that. So it's going to depend. So if we have the eyelids largely closed, like I did on the previous aliens, that makes them look very sinister and sneaky, right? So we're going to want to make the eye more open. Now, large eye is good for being friendly and cute. So that's good. And also the glossiness. That's why I gave the client the choice. Are we going to go for glossy? Are we going to go for not glossy? I do take custom orders. In fact, that's one of the things I'm working on a lot lately, actually. I've been doing nothing but custom orders for the past like month or so, more than that even. So yeah, I do. I can't generally do, like if it's a brand new design, then we'll have to talk about that because those take a lot of time for prototyping, and of course time is money, labor hours, right? So I generally only do custom orders for things that I already have existing patterns or can alter existing patterns for, because they stay within a kind of, a more sole proprietary owner, small business budget, shall we say. But I can do anything. It just depends on what the budget is, right? A 60-hour build is going to be 60 hours of labor time, so that adds up. So I still try and keep the custom builds around the same price that the general sale stuff for the shop goes on. And the reason that those are not monstrously expensive is because I already have the patterns and I can already just sort of make these things relatively quickly, and there's a reasonable amount of labor hours in them. So yes, I do custom orders. It might depend on what you want. So always email admin@operationpuppet.com. Let me know what you're looking for. I will absolutely be happy to give you feedback and let you know what my schedule is like as well, because these things do take time, and my build schedule is pretty full right now. So we'll just have to see, but yes, I do. That's the long answer. The short answer is yes. Anyway, so we're going to do some eyelids here, but I'm going to do them more open than the previous aliens. And at first I was thinking maybe we just want to do like a lower eyelid, because an upper eyelid, you get that kind of the angry look, right? And of course that will also depend on the angle that we put the eyes at, right? So an upwards tilting angle like that looks angry, right? That's the brows are angry. But if you tilt them down like that and they can look kind of sad, then they're friendly, right? Think of Ernie's eyes. Ernie's eyes slant down, right? Because they are, he's friendly. So, and Bert's just neutral. Bert's just a circle, right? And then he gets the angry brows every now and then, right? So Bert's the sharp and pointy one, and Ernie's the soft and blobby one, right? It's all a language of shapes. So that's kind of what we're doing here. So I think I'm gonna first start playing around with some different heights of where we put the brow or the eyelids. What I might do, because I've only got these two that are all nice and glossy, that I've put the resin on, as I showed a few weeks ago. But I also have these, which are just plain matte black right off the 3D printer. So I might just sort of do a little sort of test to kind of figure out where I want the eyelids before I go and mark up the glossy ones, right? So we get it right the first time. So, measure twice, cut once kind of thing. So that seems to be a decent place to start as I bump the mouse and hopefully not click anything I don't want to click. Let's put the mouse away, as always. So yeah, let me just start. I'm just gonna start working because I don't really have a plan. Well, I don't really have a good streaming plan. I have a good, I just know what I'm doing if I'm working. If I was working, that's what I would be doing. I'd be kind of mapping out where on these eyelids or on these eyes I want the eyelids. So I am going to use these matte ones as the kind of mock-up test to just kind of figure out where I want them placed. So let me see. Now I did take the time to, did it mess up again? Please tell me it didn't mess up again. Okay, good, so it didn't. The auto focus is off. The auto exposure is still on, but that kind of needs to be, because the light levels in this place change so many times that this camera can really mess up. So that's why, when I put my hands here, you can see how it gets darker, and I take them away, it gets brighter. That's the auto exposure, overcompensating for light levels. But thankfully I did just lock the focus in place, so it's not going to try and autofocus and get confused on the grid here. So that seems like actually kind of a decent way to shoot this, I think. Let's do that. But first, I'm gonna have a little more coffee. Because coffee is good. But yeah, after this, and I'm gonna try and get both of these done today, is a rainbow fur small. And I just happened to have ordered some rainbow fur when this client got in touch and said, I would like this. Good coincidence. In fact, I haven't even taken the rainbow fur out of the box yet. We can do an unboxing. It's a big box. You know what? This is just be silly and fun. Let's just do an unboxing. I never get to do unboxings. So this is from Fabric Empire, who switched couriers and now I don't get hit for duty. I still have to pay exchange, obviously, so it still ends up being expensive, and the shipping is very expensive, but it's not as expensive as it used to be. So that's really good because I can get a wider variety of fur. I've got all this stuff on the box. I gotta move it. I've got no room left. I got so much, so many piles of fur laying around. I just need a big workshop. This is a very small room. I don't know if I ever mentioned that. I have actually opened the box. I just haven't taken the stuff out of it. So let's do that. I'll put this up on the workbench. It's bigger than the workbench. This box is huge. You can kind of see it in there. Yeah, it's a big box. Oh, yeah. I'm not gonna get this all on camera at the same time. But that's okay, it doesn't have to be because it's just a bunch of fur. So, here we go. Let's see, what do we got in the box? Oh, look at that. We got some lovely pink fur. This we're gonna be using next week. It's a very nice bright pink. And some orange, some nice orange fur. And some green. I got all this stuff I didn't have already. Because I love the fact that my face camera is blocked by the box. And then of course, more rainbow. Lots of rainbow fur actually. I got 2 yards of it, so it's there's a lot. I have a lot of rainbow. If you want a rainbow puppet, it's a really good time. Have I heard of Adam Krutinger? Rest in peace, dear Adam. Yes, of course I have. Adam was, everybody who learned puppet building in the internet age knows Adam Krutinger. Did pass away relatively recently, very sad, after a long and aggressive illness. But yes, there we go. There's our lots of fur. There is a lot of fur. Oh, okay. There's the unboxing. That was exciting, huh? What are you doing, Kevin? I'm being on the internet. You gotta do an unboxing. So yeah, I'm pretty well stocked for fur for a change. That's usually not the case, but we're good. So let's go back to, where did I put that camera? There it is. Had to move the camera off the table because there was just no room for it. We'll go to the handheld camera here and we'll get our eyes back. Where did I put them? I don't remember where did the eyes go? Good heavens, Kevin, get a grip. There we are. Okay, so we're gonna put some eyelids on these. And we want them to be relatively open. I'm trying to figure out what the best way of doing this is, because I usually just literally eyeball it. But in this case, I want to kind of play around and sort of see what we get. I'm actually digging in some scrap green here. Okay, this is the same. We're obviously going to make this the same color as the rest of the puppets. Here's some scrap from making it. Let's go to this camera just for the moment. Maybe I can pull that in, actually. The puppet I'm working on have a name. Not yet. This is for a client, so I don't know. They may have a name. I don't know what it is. I don't name my puppets unless I'm keeping them, and that happens very rarely. So, you know what? Maybe I can pull this in. Hang on. We can at least get closer. I have to remember this is here. Otherwise, I'm going to smack my face into it. And that's not good television. Or it's excellent television, you tell me. So, maybe if we just do an upper lid, right? And then we tilt it sort of that way. You know, we can actually do this on the glossy ones because, you know, and the glossy is nice for that kind of like soft, twinkly-eyed look. You know what? The upper one and only doing an upper, I think is the right way to go. Immediately, it's pretty clear, right? Because if we were to do an upper and a lower, right, suddenly it gets a little sinister. You see what I mean? If we close it even more, right, we're getting the more alien shape, the more traditional alien shape, yes, but it's becoming more sinister, right? Whereas if we only have an upper lid, it's considerably more friendly, particularly if we angle them like this. Remember, I'm only holding these on, so it's not going to be perfect. But if we angle them more sad, right, that's considerably friendlier than if we were to angle them, you know, angry like that. Right? So, yeah, I think we'll go with uppers only. That seems like a good choice. So we kind of already decided it, so I don't really need to do the mock-up. So let's not worry about that. Now, the way, as I've demonstrated probably too often on live stream, is the way I do my eyelids is I have this little kind of a jig here. It's just an old box. It actually was an extra large ping pong ball box. But the reason I use this, and I have this little sort of crosshairs here and a hole, is because this makes it really easy to get them even on both sides. This is just like a little thing that holds it in place, and I take a compass and I put the compass here and I anchor it on one side, and then I can draw a line, and that line will be the same on both of them. So that is why I use this little holder. And that way we can get the eyelids more or less even on both sides. So, let me grab a compass. And so what I do for these, which is very handy, is because these are my 3D printed eyes, and I should bring this camera, the upper camera here, down close more often. This is actually kind of a good angle for all of this stuff. Yeah, this is why it's an empty box, because I can open it up and then I can pop the peg in the back here. And now we have the peg poking up, and I can just attach the eyes securely onto the box. And now I can take a compass, and there's a little hole right here, and I can sort of mark a point decide where I want the eyelet. I gotta stand up for this, sorry. And you're probably not gonna be able to really see this on the camera. In fact, it's kind of hard to see it IRL. But I'm just gonna mark line, making sure that the eyelid doesn't rotate. Now, can I see that? Yes, I can see that. I don't think you can kind of see a faint line. That's fine. We want a faint line. Faint line is good. Demon Dreamer, nice to see you. Welcome, welcome. So I'm gonna do that on both, just to make sure they're as even as is feasible. However, this wouldn't make a good eyelet if we just did this, and I'll show you why. We're gonna have to alter this a little bit. But same procedure. This is why this little holder comes in real handy. Because as you can see, since this compass is still the same distance, all we got to do is put this in the thing, and then we can mark a line at exactly the same point. Yeah, the resin, the glossy resin on this makes it really hard to draw a line, which I should have realized, but I didn't. Can I see that? Yes, I can. Okay. I'm not going to close this compass up quite yet. We may have to redraw these lines just because of how faint they are, but let's see what we can do. I don't want to make the line too prominent, just in case things get a little bit misaligned. You don't want to actually see the line once the eyelid goes on, so I'm being judicious. So let's take this off. Of course, the other thing we have to do is make the holes in the head for the eyes, which will be, I keep, again, because I stream at the same time every week, I'm usually at a similar stage in the build every week, so it tends to be that I do the same things on stream all the time. I do have to take the hot wire and burn some holes in that puppet, which is always fun and exciting and potentially dangerous on stream. Okay, so here we go. I can see them. They're very, very faint. I know that the camera is not picking up that line. Let me grab another pencil here. And maybe I can make these a little bit more visible. Yeah, that's a little more visible to me. I don't think it is on the, yeah, you can kind of see it on the camera, but not really. But what we want to do now, because this goes straight across, we don't want that. We want this like an eye. An eyelid is curved, right? We don't want this straight across. We want to come down at the corners just a little bit. And that I usually eyeball. Because as I said before, I like a little bit of organicness, a little bit of asymmetry. I don't worry too much about making it mathematically perfect. But that's just me. Okay, well, I think we're gonna try it. We will see. But yeah, all I've done here is I've drawn a curve. You probably can't see it at all. Yeah, you kind of can. So here's the original line, and then here's the curve I've drawn. And this is the line we're going to follow to put the eyelid on. And same on the other side. So we're just making the corners come down a little bit to make this curve. That's all. No biggie. So, two things we have to do with the fabric for the eyelids, which I think I'm going to cut a new piece because I'm not confident I have enough good sized scrap here. These are all quite thin. You want to add a little bit more than you think you're going to need. Oh, wait a minute. Hang on. There's a good sized chunk right here. Always use up your scrap when you can. So one thing you want to do is figure out the direction. So in this case, there we go, that's across. This is the way you want it to go across the eye, right? So we want to put this on like that, so the stretch is going across the eye. And because of that, we want to make sure that we have a nice straight line on the edge, the actual edge of the eyelid. Now this right here, this line here is pretty good. I just don't know that that's wide enough to make two. I don't think it is. So let's just trim off this excess here. I'll get a nice solid chunk. And what I'm going to do, since we know that the stretch is going this way, which is good, so we're going to want a nice solid line across like that, where it gets a bit wider here. So I am just gonna cut it without actually drawing a guide because I'm reckless. Also, you'll see why this won't matter in a second. And then we're gonna cut this in half this way. So we have our two eyelids. This is a lot more fabric than you need, but that's fine. You want more than you need than not enough. You can always take material away. It's very hard to add material. That's a general rule of all fabrication. So let's see, how is this gonna stretch as far as we need? Just barely. Well, let's risk it. It might not be enough, but let's give it a shot. But there's how we're going with that. That's pretty good. I like that a lot. So one thing I do want to do, because we're not doing an eye line, is I want to fold this edge over. So because this is just a cut edge, and it's going to sort of fray and fragment, and it just looks kind of rough. So I want to fold this over like that, so we have a nice, clean, finished edge. So that's step one. Making sure we got the stretch going in the right direction. Ooh, I'm a little concerned that this may not be wide enough. Hang on, one moment. That kind of got away from me a little bit. Let me just cut this. This is what happens when you try and spin too many plates at the same time. Oh, okay, no, we're good. We're good. Okay. So, we're going to fold this edge, and we're going to fold. Really? Hang on. I did this the wrong way around. I got to make sure it's the wider side that we're going to fold. Just, again, to give us enough room. Margin for error, as it were. Okay. So, these are the edges that we're going to fold over. Now, that means that I gotta open the window, get the fan going, get the respirator out, and we bust out the danger honey. So this is less than fun. Yeah, I can't stand doing this, but safety first. You're gonna work with industrial adhesives like Barge. And don't worry, there's nothing on this can. That's why I know, don't drink from the wrong one, right? If you're going to use toxic stuff, be careful. You know, just take the necessary precautions, have good ventilation, and wear a respirator. I always do. So let's do that. First thing I gotta do is open the window. Which, yeah, I don't know if you want to watch me opening a window. See, this is how far down this camera is now. I can easily whack my face into this. We're just gonna open the window, and I've got the fan right here. We're gonna put this in the window, and it's gonna be blowing outwards to take the fumes away out of the room. Turning the fan on, there we go. I'm also gonna close the door to the shop so the fumes don't escape and we don't suddenly have a cat come and visit. Always a danger around here. And as I mentioned before, I do actually have weather stripping around that door. So that way the fumes don't escape into the rest of the apartment. Because that would not be good. Now, let me just, before we even get the PPE going. Nope, that's what I thought. Inevitably, you're gonna find if you're using industrial contact cement, the cap will get gummed up. I mean, look at this. Come on. So this will sort of glue itself shut. The way to prevent that in the first place is to put some like Vaseline around it. I never do. I always forget to. So the way to fix it once it is actually glued shut is to just hit it with a hairdryer, heat it up a little bit. And that will do two things. It will loosen up the glue and it will also make the metal expand a little bit. So now, there we go. So I'm not gonna open this until I get the PPE on. Indy, hello, nice to see you. Okay, just in time for the mask. Yep, you came just in time for the danger, honey. Yep, good timing there. So I gotta get some gloves. Means I also take my rings off, which I am always loath to do. I'm going to take a lozenge before I put the mask on. Order of operations, always important. And so let me just get these gloves ready to go here. Unfortunately, this is the same kind of thing I've shown on stream a billion times, but hey, like I said, this is just where we are. So the cost of any puppet really depends on the puppet, it depends on the design, depends on how much customization. It can vary wildly. So it's really hard to say. It really depends on how long. The materials is usually no more than a couple of $100. Even in the biggest puppet, there's maybe in a sack puppet, there's about $100 to $200 worth of materials in it. These are Canadian dollars, FYI. In America, it's less. Or the conversion, it's less for American dollars. But of course, it's the labor time. That's the real expense. So, you know, a 20-hour build, I mean, how much do you get paid to work 20 hours, right? That's the question. So it really depends. I can usually, even the most elaborate builds that I do, I can usually bring them in under 500 Canadian. Sometimes a little bit more than that, but it really depends. So yeah, I would have to know what you're looking for before I can even begin. I would give you a quote. $5 for a rod puppet? No. It does say $5, right? There is a colon in there. Oh wait, if you mean 500 for a rod puppet, so it depends on what you mean by rod puppet. If you mean a rod arm puppet, like this alien, for example, actually usually less than that. My standard, like my Greeblies and that kind of thing, usually go for about 400-ish Canadian. So, again, it really depends. It can vary a lot. Something like a small, which is very simple and very quick to build, those go for 300 Canadian, which is like maybe 200 American, around there right now. Rod puppet, like, you know, the Muppet Rats, for example, are rod puppets, or Doozers are rod puppets. I don't even do those yet. I'm still working on some prototypes for that stuff, so. All right, the mic's about to get weird because I have to turn the mic on the mask on here. I'm gonna talk relatively quiet because we've got 2 mics active currently. Oh, Shippo to the car show. Nice, nice. Okay, here we go. Insert my Bane impression. There we are. It's the glasses, you know, it's the glasses afterwards that really make the look. Right? Now I can be hanging out in the cantina and talking. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do is I'm gonna put some glue along these edges, and then we're gonna fold them over and glue them down. And in order to do that, I'm going to use one of these makeup applicators, which is considerably daintier than the big old brush that comes in barge. All right, time for danger, honey. So we're going up along these edges here. You just want to put a little bit, don't go overboard. Never put too much glue on. Just putting very light line along the edge here. And same as there. All right. So now that we have just a thin line of glue along the edges. You want to let this dry a bit, so I'm just going to hit it with a hairdryer. a little bit, making sure they don't blow away. That should be good enough. So, once you let it dry a little bit, we're just going to gently and carefully fold that edge over. And press down. Contact cement works with pressure, so you want to actually press it. It's funny, the glasses get weirdly aligned when I have to wear the mask, and so I gotta look at it on a weird angle. There we go. So now we have these lovely finished edges. In fact, where's this for? Well, it doesn't really give you any more information. And the colors are considerably brighter. But nevertheless, yeah, so we have a nice finished edge now. So now, we want to actually glue these onto the eyes. So in my case, what I usually do is I kind of open it up so the peg is sort of standing up from the peg like that. Because that kind of helps me manipulate it without getting glue all over my hands. To start with, I'm going to take it off the peg because I actually want to glue inside as well. Let me just do that. Oh no, VPN stuff. I've been wrestling with Linux all week. Ask me anything. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, this is gonna be tricky. I'm gonna try and follow that line I drew, and we're gonna put glue where the eyelid should be, basically. Thin coat, not a lot. I gotta find the line first. There it is. Okay. All right, there we go. So I think the first thing I'm going to do is actually draw the line in glue so I know where the heck it is. And now we want to put glue on the rest of the eyelid surface. As I get glue all over my gloves, of course. Keeping the IT department employed, yeah. Well, you can actually see that a bit better because it's not as glossy where the eyelid's going to go. And the last thing we want to do is actually put some on the inside. Because we're going to wrap it around
Again, I like a nice finished edge. I don't like to leave anything rough. So I'm going to go around the inner rim and just on the inside as well. Ah, something had to be configured that was not configurable, or that was configurable and wasn't in the old system. That makes sense. Plug and play stuff has been good, but it's also trained us to not think. You know? There are downsides to usability. Alright. Let's go with that. I may have to touch up this glue a bit later, but we'll go with that for now. We still have to put the glue on the actual fabric. If you don't know, that's how contact cement works. You gotta put glue on both surfaces. Low priority, looks like that. So the old bot is gone, Zap, because we're getting chat from like 4 different places now, and the old chat bot was only going between Twitch and YouTube, so I just took it right out of there because it was doubling up the messages. So if you want to see all of the chat, look at the stream. That's what this is up here. It's the only way you can really do unified chat between so many sources. Without being a really good Python scripter and just writing your own. Spoilers, I am not a Python scripter, although I would like to be. It seems like a useful skill. Okay. I'm still not sure this is going to hold very well, but let's find out. We got to get on with this. We killed the boss. Yep, that's true. I know, Zep. As you know, it's an imperfect solution to a stupid problem. Welcome to 2025. So I'm just putting a light-ish coat on our fabric here. And I am also doing it along the edge, but I'm not coming right up to the very, very edge. Trying also not to get a bunch of glue on my gloves. Okay. I think that's enough. But I guess we'll find out. I can't wait to be done this, and I get to take the mask off. Yeah, I'm still the guy who's like wearing medical masks in public. That's me. And oddly enough, I haven't had COVID yet. Go figure. It also helps that when you wear glasses like this, the mask just looks cool. You can incorporate it into your look. Okay, here we go. So, the glue on the eyelids might be a little too dry at this point. I think it's okay, but the glue on the eyes might be a little... That's gonna be fine. This is still a little too wet, so I'm gonna hit this. Yeah, there you go. Here's the thing about the whole medical mask thing. I'm doing this with a mask on. It always made sense to me. Ever since I found out that it was a thing that's commonly done in Asia, it just makes sense. Like on the on public transit or something. Yeah, not getting sick is better than getting sick, it turns out. So I'm actually glad that the kind of social taboo around wearing a medical mask in public is now gone. Because I always wanted to. It just makes sense. I haven't had a cold since 2018. That's good. Oops. Oh, it fixed itself. Okay, you know what? That'll be fine. So here we go. This is where it gets interesting. Let's start with the one I think might be a little too thin, but let's find out. All right, so before you really lay it down, you kind of want to pull it up and stretch it so you don't get a lot of wrinkles. And nice and flat. And that's actually pretty good. That turned out better than I thought it was gonna. Which is always a nice surprise. Okay. So now that we got it like this, and we got the fabric hanging off the end, just leave it. Leave it for now. We'll deal with that in a second. Do the second one. Again, pull it up, stretch it across so we're not getting a lot of wrinkles. Okay, all right, we're in good shape. Love to see it. Okay, so now that we've got this, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna trim, but I'm not gonna trim right down to the eye. I'm gonna leave like a seam allowance. I'm gonna leave like a good 1/2 inch around that. These are non-stick scissors because there's some glue here, so this helps. And this is why we put the glue on the inside as well. You know what? It occurs to me, I haven't done a tips, tricks, and tutorials video for this specific process. I'm gonna use this for that. You're gonna see the chat, but oh well, that makes sense. This is something that people want to know about, and I do a lot. So here we go. We are #content. All right, so this is why I put the glue on the inside, because we're gonna wrap it around. Like so. And really kind of stretch it and pull it, get it nice and flat and tight. Because there, as you can see, we turn that around, that is what we're talking about. When you attach this, it's going to have a nice, clean, finished edge. It's going to look great. So, that's kind of it. Let me just do the other one here. We'll show it up against the puppet. Because actually the next step is making the holes. So, while I've got the window open, might as well play with fire. All right, there we go. There are our eyes. So, let us, oh, you know what? I can close up the glue and get rid of the mask now. Hooray! Let me just make sure the glue is closed first. Danger anytime is over. All good things must end up. You know that. Although, got a bit of potential news on that front. But hand sewing, you know, actually,
We could do some hand sewing. Let me just turn this mic off here. Two mics bad. There we go. So let me just put this mask back and we can so there's our kind of neutral, right? A little dip in here. Maybe if we, yeah, it seems a bit better. Again, this is just gonna play around with the order. So yeah, that looks considerably more friendly than that, right? See, it's very simple, it's a very small thing, but let's go to the wide cam here, get the top cam out of the way, back where it belongs. There we are. I should remember, the top cam actually has a decent optical zoom. I should just use that, keep it where it is. So let's have a look here. Again, this isn't final. This is just kind of getting a rough idea. This hair is moving around So we're looking for friendly. Oh, look at that. That's a friendly alien. Look at. I mean, that's really good. Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. Okay, yeah. One friendly alien coming up. No problem. Yep. There's a not friendly alien right there. It's the alien who's gonna abduct you. This is the alien who's gonna like make you cookies. Okay, so I mean, while we're here, we might as well just keep going. Let me get another lozenge and more coffee. We're at the midpoint. We're at my usual coffee break point. I feel the need for it. You know what? I'm going to take a quick break and then grab another coffee, and then we'll come back. I will be right back. Don't go anywhere. All right, coffee break time. Look at the lines on my face from the mask. So yeah, it's early days yet. Nothing is finalized. Discussions will be ongoing, but I think the podcast is coming back. I think. I really want to. I really miss it. So yeah, I think I'm going to figure out a way to make that happen. So yeah, that'll be fun. Something is going to happen in that space. Exactly what it looks like yet, I'm not sure, but yeah. I just like podcasting. As you can tell, I just talk a lot, and I might as well do it into a microphone. So there we go. Here's our. Oops. That's not how that works. There we go. How's that? Good look? Good look. All right. So yeah, I'm liking where this alien's going. So the next thing to do, yeah, I'm glad somebody's excited about the podcast. It was one of the, I'm saying, you know, I think these build streams and just like the puppet building videos in general are probably the most, you know, the most eyeballs on stuff that I do. And everything else is kind of lesser, but it's still, I still just do the stuff I like doing, right? So. Great listener while exercising, good to know. I actually, when I go to the gym, I generally need something to watch, not listen. I mean, we did, and we'll probably do a video version of the podcast as well, but it's just like an audio visualizer. It's not, you know, it's not us on camera. Because there's some logistics there that would be too much, but anyway, yeah, no, I really enjoy it. I like doing it. It helps me personally actually organize my thoughts, like, because there's so much happening, even in the spaces that I frequent, like the tech world and the puppet building world, there's always stuff happening. And I found that doing the podcast actually kind of helps me categorize stuff. It's almost like an ADHD thing. I think it's like, you know, I can cover this on the podcast, or here's something that will be interesting to talk about in the podcast, and it's nice. It's actually helpful for me. So I think, yeah, something's gonna happen. Good to know. I'm glad that people actually listen to the podcast. We never got much feedback, although the numbers weren't bad, like in terms of downloads. Lately, there's been a spike in the downloads of the old podcast because some AI chatbots got into it. This is one of the things when you run a podcast these days, you will probably know about this. One of the things that the AI scumbags like to do is download podcasts, have it, push it through an LLM, and then have it generate what seem like personalized emails. So it's like I've been getting spam emails in the podcast email box that are like referring to us by name, referring to things we actually talked about in an episode, but it's all just like churned out garbage. It's still the same thing. It's still a scam. It's just a more sophisticated scam. So, yeah. But I've been getting a lot of that. And because of that, there's been a spike in the downloads for the podcast because ChatGPT got a hold of it. So, yeah, it is gross. Because that's the benign version of it. Think about it if, like, you know, somebody's elderly grandmother got a personalized email that seemed like it was coming from their grandchildren, right? Like, it's enabling the worst possible people, it turns out. What a shock. Anyway, influence AI with your podcast, you know. Model collapse, I can't wait. I cannot wait for the LLMs to start feeding on their own garbage and just fall apart completely. We're getting there. We're getting to that point. Anyway, I will rant about AI on the podcast. How about that? Greetings from Mexico. Nice. Welcome. Nice to see you. If I ever am able to take a vacation again, Mexico is on the list of places to go. I've never been. I would like to go. Well, and this is the whole thing about the AI learning thing, right? It's not AI, saying AI itself. I try to say AI as little as possible just because it's not. That's a marketing term. If you use the term AI, you're literally buying into their marketing. It's just a large language model. And if you want to know about a large language model, the most immediate example is the predictive text on your phone. That's literally how that works, and that's all that ChatGPT is doing is just that, but like 1 billion times, and burning down rainforests to do it. There's no learning, there's no context, there's no intellect, there's no reasoning. That's not how it works. It is a large model of language, period. That's it. Anyway, if you're fascinated by this stuff, learn how LLMs work, and you will quickly start to see the snake oil. Anyway, let's not dwell on unpleasant subjects like that garbage. Let's talk about our friendly alien here. So I'm gonna take this hair off because it's just pinned on. You don't want to set that on fire. Because yes, we are about to play with fire. Ow, I just poked myself with a pin. You think fire is dangerous? Talk about pins. So, what we're going to do here is we want to put a couple of holes and have a place. Now, these are fairly hefty pegs, so I'm probably going to sandwich these. Uh-oh. You know what I just heard? I've been interrupted. Oh no, here we go. All right, it's time. Get ready, folks. Zep knows. Hello, James. Yes. It's time for the Jimmy cameo. Hello, Jimmy. Jimmy just woke up from his nap and is now yelling for attention. Yeah, there we go. It does not look terribly awake or impressed at the moment. This is what you gotta be on camera. You gotta yell for my attention while I'm streaming. You have to be on camera. It's the law. Here we go. How's this? You gonna mess with my microphone? Hmm? Yeah? How's that? Is that pretty good? His celebrity appearance, you know, he is very spoiled. Aren't you? Yeah? He's like, let me out of here. I didn't consent to be on camera. This is the price you pay, buddy. There we go. Here's the Jimmy spotting. You know? Why don't you go have a snack or more napping? Because I have to close the door. No, he wants to stay. I gotta keep working, buddy. This is, you know the drill here. And I gotta close the door. We're about to play with fire. There's gonna be smoke. You don't want that. Is the motor? Oh, the motor's revving. Believe me, the motor's revving, and this is Jimmy. Whenever Jimmy gets very happy, he drools. It's been happening for years. He's currently dribbling like you wouldn't believe. He likes attention, and he likes interrupting me while I'm working. Yes, I know. Yeah, okay. All right, buddy. I gotta get back to work. Yeah, go dribble somewhere else. Anyway, there we go. There's the exciting cat cameo. Almost, he's doing it more and more lately. It seems like at least half the time when I'm streaming, Jimmy will come in for a cameo. I gotta move this curtain out of the way. It was making a big loud noise. All right, James, you have to leave just for a moment. He's gonna stand outside the door and yell, I guarantee that. Okay, so. Figuring out where we want the mounting points for our big ol' eyes here. So I usually, why door closed? All doors should be open to my kingdom, Jimmy. Yes, definitely. So we're just gonna, oh, that looks so good. Okay. I mean, that seems about right to me. I was about to say, because these are so large, I'm going to sandwich this, I think, between the foam and the fleece. If I was trying to go, I was going to try and go through the foam as well, it would probably sort of interfere with itself. It's a little large for that, but I don't know, we'll see. I may actually print out a different version of this. It's a little bit less huge. Anyway, so that seems about right. So I'm gonna take one away, take a pin, lift this up slightly, find the center point, which is really easy in this case because the fleece has enough pile in it that the rim here actually marked on the fleece, so I can actually quite clearly see where the center point is, which is very handy. And likewise for this one, just do that. Yeah. I know the camera probably can't see that, but there's a quite distinct ring right there. Okay, so I've marked those with pins. Now I'm going to mark them with a marker, hence the name. And take the pins out. Pins are just there to be a placeholder. now comes the fun part. The fire. Again, we've been through this 1,000 times, but we gotta go through it again. We always have new people, so they may not have seen this before. Got a pair of ice grips. Got somewhere a piece. This just happens to be a piece of copper-clad steel welding rod. Any metal that will take heat will do. We're gonna clamp that in the vice grips, like so. And then we take a butane torch. This is a culinary torch. And we are going to heat up the end of this rod until it's glowing orange. Make sure you're not pointing this towards anything flammable, no fabric, something like that. Point it away from anything that can catch on fire, including yourself. Probably won't be able to catch this on camera unless I'm very careful. And who could be very careful? Actually, hang on. What's this? Maybe. Let's try it. Well, you can see the flame. All right, it's starting to glow. You can see it's orange. So let's go back here. And we're gonna make one hole, relatively decent size, and another hole, relatively decent size. Just kind of swirl it around the center point. And there we go. This is still hot. Now the acupuncture rod is ready. Yes, exactly. So I'm going to put this in front of the fan here, let that cool. But the advantage of doing it this way is you have nice, clean mounting points that are effectively cauterized. The material melts because this is all synthetic fabrics, so this literally creates like a plastic edge, like a grommet, I believe. So we lock up that so it can't go turn on by accident. And now I'm gonna go to this camera because I gotta have to fight with this, and then I have to do it kind of up close. Now it's a Ditto Alien for people who are familiar with Pokemon. I am not one of those people. Although I feel like I should be. It's one of those things, it's one of those like standard nerd things that like you feel that if you're not part of it, you're just kind of missing out. I guess there is a certain Pokemon-ish quality to it now. So let me see here. Can we go through the fleece and the foam? Because that is actually preferable, because then I can kind of sink it down into the surface, which is, oh, you know what, may actually be okay. I think it's okay. The blob Pokemon, like you see the glob of pink goo Pokemon, and shape changes on this up, it has a derpy face. There we go. Now we got like, I don't know, Clive Barker. It's like a pinhead kind of a thing. Well, these both fit. Because the problem with putting it through the fleece and the foam is sometimes the bases can kind of interfere with each other if the head is not big enough. Chewing gum, that's a Ditto, okay. This might actually be okay. Let me see. It's a little fiddly to kind of, you guys gotta do it by feel, you know what I'm saying? Okay, I think it'll be okay actually, that's good. This is the preferred way to go through both the foam and the fleece, because if it's on the far side of the foam, as as you put it in, whether you're using like a dull joint or some kind of bolt or like this, a threaded rod, you can screw it down and sort of tighten it and get it sunk down into the foam a little bit, and it just looks better. So here we go. We're gonna screw the eye in place. This is why I love these eyes like this. Yeah, okay. All right, let's go to, I'm just gonna sort of tighten that up a little bit just to make sure it's holding. And also the advantage, of course, is that these are now removable. You could actually replace these with different eyes and have a completely different look. Let's go with this camera here. And yeah, oh, it's a friendly, this is, look, it looks far friendlier than I was thinking it might, but yeah, that's real good. Okay, so now it's just a matter of kind of getting the eyelid angles right. That'll take some fiddling and some tweaking, but yeah, that's pretty good. I'm liking where this is going. Yeah, you know, exactly. I don't think I'm going to do a tongue. I got to check with the client first before I make a decision, obviously. But on alien characters, I generally don't do tongues because it keeps them looking a bit alien. The tongue actually humanizes them a little bit. So I think I'm not going to do a tongue. But where are we at time-wise? 11:30. We've got half an hour left. You know, I mean, of this, the only thing left to do, if I'm not doing a tongue, there is only one thing left to do. And that is this. That is attaching the hair. And in order to do that, get the drum roll ready, Zep. It's hand sewing. Not only is it hand sewing, it is the worst possible, most annoying kind of hand sewing. It is ladder stitching fur, which is a nightmare, and I hate it, but it's got to be done. I mean, I could glue the hair, but in this case, I don't think that would be a good idea, just because it's narrow, and if there's any variation with how the glue goes, that could be bad. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna line this up, figure out where's a good spot for it. I like how it lies, how it kind of like switches direction. And it also gives you some sort of styling options, right? You can spike it up. As you're probably sick of hearing me remind you, I'm an old goth. These are just instincts for me. All right, so that's, I think, pretty good for hair placement in the front here. So let's pin that down. Put a couple just to be on the safe side. This will be a little preview of the tutorial I'm going to shoot next week. And I'm just going to go around and make sure this is centered. And I'm going to put a pin in the very crown of the head here, just to hold that in place. And likewise in the back. Oh, I can hear Jimmy yelling outside. Hang on, I can actually open the door now. And I can turn the fan off. I feel like I'm always like yelling over the fan, even though I'm sure you can't hear it. One sec. Let me A, turn the fan off. And B, open the door. What I can't hear when the fan is on is I can't hear the music. All right, James. There, you yelled the door open. Are you happy? It worked. This is I'm reinforcing bad behavior. Hello, Jimmy. Jimmy is in now. Okay. So we just want to make sure this isn't going to move around as we're stitching it. I'll put a couple more pins in there. Make sure that we're centered-ish. As centered as anything I make ever is. Reinforcing bad behavior is part of owning a cat. Really what battles to fight, it's true. Jimmy's latest thing is he wakes up at 5 a.m. Therefore, so does everybody else. And it's like clockwork every day. Just yelling at 5 a.m. for no reason other than he just wants to wake people up. Okay. Yeah, that's all right. Yeah, seems pretty even. Please, an alarm clock start feeding your cat's wet food. You're supposed to get up, you know. I can't stand the wet food. It makes me nauseous. However, we still do it because it is quite good for them. Okay, so let's go to, this will be a little practice for what I'm planning to shoot next week. I should also figure out a way I can move the face cam so I can, like, so you're not constantly looking at my shirt. I'm sure. Yeah, no. I haven't used an alarm clock in so long. I don't even know why. So this is going to be, the request was mohawk. I know it looks a little bit mulletish. We could trim it. I think like, I'm going to leave the client the option of styling it. So if you want to sort of spike it out like a mohawk, you can do that. It's also not going to be quite as wide as this once we're done sewing it because the stitching is going to sort of pull it in. So it's a little bit wider than the finished product will be at the moment. So it'll look a little bit more mohawkish after we're done stitching. But speaking of stitching, let me see, how's the camera for this? Because what we're gonna do, we're gonna ladder stitch the fur onto the fleece. Yeah, let me see if we can, wow, that's pretty good. See, it's an optical zoom, so it's actually using the lens. Yeah, that's real good, actually. Okay, cool. So, let me thread some thread. We'll use green, I guess. Yes, Jimmy. Maybe a mullet-wearing alien is hilarious. Wow, this is why they're always abducting people in the Ozarks, you know. They're just looking for some good moonshine. All right, so threading some thread. And I think I'm gonna pull this back a little bit because this is a little too tight. I'm gonna need some leeway here. So I'm gonna start it by anchoring it in place using a curved needle. And you'll notice how I held this end as the threading through. This helps the thread to not tangle. You just gotta keep it all straight and clear and untwisted. So there we go, we have it locked in on one side. So it's just a standard ladder stitch, but the tricky part is keeping the fur out of the way, right? So It's just that every stitch becomes like a process. Because we want to get just the netting, not the fur. Pull it through. And just keep going. So one stitch on the fleece, pull it through. One stitch on the fur. Try to only get the fur, not the fleece under the fur. If you do, it's not a big deal, but it's just better. It looks better. So you can see why this is time consuming. Because we got to go around the entire circumference like this. And I generally don't do this kind of thing on stream because what the heck am I going to talk about for the half hour it takes to do this, you know? Mighty Quinn, nice to see you, hello. But there we go, there's our ladder stitch. We are making an alien with a rainbow mohawk, obviously. What else could it be? That looks like Kif from Futurama, now that I think about it. Which is not a bad thing. Okay. It's the color that has sort of set the Kifness off. Kifness? But yeah, this is it. This is literally it. This is all it. You just gotta go around the whole thing. And it's a bit easier with the mohawk style because you can just sort of brush it out of the way. With like what we're gonna do next week with a wig, which has just got hair everywhere, right? It's even more tedious. I should have shot it this week, but oh well. I guess I could still salvage this as something. I'll just mute the audio, blur the chat, and narrate over top. Oh, we'll have Frankie narrate over top. Just look. All right, I don't know, he's taking some thread, he's pushing it into, that looks painful. Did you have to do that with me? I think, ow, I can feel, I'm sympathetic pains, I can feel that. Sympathetic puppet pains. It is indeed a curved needle. This is an upholstery needle. Very helpful for doing this kind of thing, as you can tell, because when you put it in, you can get it to reemerge quite easily and pull it through. If it was a flat needle or a straight needle, you wouldn't be able to do as quite a tight stitch as this. I mean, you would, but it would be more difficult. So as we come up to the pin comes out. And like so. Now I'm actually thinking, since I have to I gotta go around the whole thing, gotta go back to here, and then we're gonna go up the other side. This might not be, consider it's 11:42. We've done most of a usual length stream. This might not be a bad place to call it a stream. As a matter of fact, let's do that. Anyway, so there you go. There's your ladder stitching fur. We will be doing even more of that next week. I was having trouble finding smaller gauge curve needles. Yeah, because the upholstery needles are usually really thick and chunky. I don't remember where I got those. That's literally the only one I've used for like years. I rarely change out my needles, which I probably should do, because they do actually get dull. I can't remember where I got those. I think I got, hang on, I may actually have it here somewhere. I ordered like a pack of various sized curved needles, and these were the smallest ones that came in the box. And there was like a few boxes. So they've lasted a while. I don't think I have the original boxes anymore. Probably in some cleaning frenzy, got rid of them. But yeah, I remember I ordered like a pack, and it just came in this sort of big plastic box. There's just a whole bunch of curved needles, and these were the absolute smallest ones. And they're still not that small. The average size one actually was like this, which is quite a bit larger. So yeah, it can be tricky to find the really small ones. But they do exist. Like the Blue Small Rocker. Yeah, that's a client build. That's actually gonna go out probably tomorrow. That was a special client request. Oh, you know what we haven't done? We haven't shown the finished Pride build. It's still available, y'all. This is up on the shop right now. But here's how they came out. This is what we were doing on stream last week. I'm not even going to attempt to do a voice because this is supposed to be a non-gender specific character. And if I were to try and do a voice, it would definitely gender them. So there we are. There's our Pride 2025 character. Very happy, very friendly. Ready to go. And the proceeds from the sale of this particular puppet will be donated to Rainbow Railroad. There we go. There's what we were doing last week. Here's the finished product. So there we go. That's ready to go. Ooh. All right. Well, that will do it for this week. Thank you, everybody. Once again, lovely to see you all. I just finished printing some more eyes as well. These are slightly smaller because I wasn't sure if those would work. Turns out, yeah, they work really, really well. So I won't need these quite yet, but I'll use them someplace. So yeah, next week, same time, same place, same bat channel, etc. We will be shooting a tutorial video about specifically the thing we're doing right now, which is ladder stitching hair onto a head. Because hopefully by the time of the stream next week, that's the stage I'll be at with that build. So there we go. Have a very good week. I might hopefully be trying to do some game streaming this weekend. If you're on the Ohmcast server, this is the place. If you're not, there's a second channel on Twitch and YouTube called Pixels and Puppets. It should be linked off the header or wherever. That's where I'll be doing the game streaming. I also might be doing some more tech videos. I have a tech project that I need to do, and I might just shoot a video for it as well. So anyway, thank you very, very much. Hope you all have a good week, and we will see you when we see you. Adios.